This season of Formula One has been exciting, but nowhere near the level of drama we had last year. It culminated in one of the most controversial races in Abu Dhabi, which Toto Wolff admits he still thinks about every day. So, why can't the Mercedes man shake off the loss? And why did Lewis Hamilton say that he's not focused on the championship this year? Stay tuned for all of that coming right up. Nightmares. For neutral fans, it couldn't have been better heading into the final round of 2021 in Abu Dhabi. Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton and Red Bull's Max Verstappen were equal on points. With everything on the line, they were both warned by the FIA that any deliberate collisions could leave them with big penalties. But at the end of the day, it was the race director Michael Masi who caused the most controversy. When a safety car was brought out late in the race, he made some unprecedented interventions that gave Verstappen one last roll of the dice against a weaker Hamilton up ahead. On fresher tires, he breezed past the Mercedes to win his maiden world championship. Team principal Toto Wolff was heard over the radio complaining that it wasn't fair, and after the race, he went straight to the stewards to appeal the race result. That was rejected, and Mercedes eventually pulled the plug on a legal challenge. But Toto still can't stop thinking about it. He said that not a day goes by where he doesn't reflect on what happened and how the values of fairness were broken that day. However, he did admit that Verstappen was a deserving champion, and he proved it throughout the season. Wolff also thinks that the direction under new FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem has been positive and that it's more transparent than last year. But even if the sport has turned a new leaf, the Mercedes team are unlikely to ever forget that day in Abu Dhabi. Down a peg. This season is unfamiliar ground for Mercedes and Lewis. They've been dominating the sport since 2014, but this year's regulation changes have left them in third place, chasing Red Bull and Ferrari. Early in the season, Mercedes struggled to work out their issues with porpoising, and it cost them big time. After just 3 races, they were already 47 points behind the leaders, and it felt like a miracle when they finished on the podium. But they have since improved significantly to score back-to-back double podiums just before the summer break. Toto Wolff has admitted that these highs and lows have given him depression to exuberance. There's a constant challenge of trying to find solutions to problems that have only popped up this year. Even at preseason testing, it was clear that Mercedes were heading in a radically different direction to their competitors. They had opted for dramatically slimmed-down side pods, which some have blamed for the bad performances over the season. But the team's trackside engineering director has said that the side pods aren't actually the main issue with their W13. At the British Grand Prix, they brought an upgraded package that featured a new front suspension and a redesigned floor. These are areas they think have a much bigger impact than the design of their side pods. You know what they say, you can't judge a book by its cover. Teamwork. So far this season, George Russell has been the perfect teammate for Lewis Hamilton. He's put in some great results for the team with 5 podiums and currently has the edge over Hamilton in the standings. But both drivers agree that they cannot afford to be competing for themselves right now. The focus should be on getting as many team points as possible. Many weekends have been dedicated to testing different setups and parts, with the more experienced Hamilton chosen to evaluate their effectiveness. But there's no love lost. The respect between the two Brits have never been higher. Hamilton is always happy about Russell's success and has said that it helps push him into a higher level of competition. That doesn't mean that Toto Wolff isn't keeping a watchful eye on them, though. He witnessed firsthand how nasty teammate rivalries can get when Hamilton and Nico Rosberg caused a civil war inside the garage. That ended after Rosberg won the 2016 title and retired from the sport. Toto knows that as the team becomes more and more competitive, the tension between the drivers is likely to increase. He said that when they start fighting for races and championships, then he can decide how much respect there really is between them. For now, they might be a long way from the highest stakes Toto is talking about, but at just the midpoint of the season, anything can happen. And if development continues as it has, Mercedes could be on track for a comeback. Coming up, which team did Hamilton say he would never go to? And what is he more concerned with this year than winning the championship? So, don't go anywhere. A little faith. Fans of the Silver Arrows haven't had too much to celebrate this season. At the Austrian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton was stuck behind Mick Schumacher and complained that Mercedes were slower than Haas. There were rumors that behind the scenes, the 7-time world champion was threatening to pull the plug on his career. But Toto Wolff has strongly denied those claims. He has said that Hamilton's commitment to the team has been stronger than ever through the low times. Toto also confirmed that he hasn't contacted any other drivers to fill Hamilton's position. In fact, according to Toto, they both have a very long-term vision for the team. In fact, he said he was having discussions with Hamilton about the next 5 or 10 years. If Hamilton wants to win a record-breaking 8th title, he might have to consider other options. The recent driver market chaos chaos between Fernando Alonso, Daniel Ricciardo, and Oscar Piastri has proven that things can change very quickly. The only two options for Hamilton to win a title right now would be Red Bull or Ferrari. It wouldn't make much sense for Red Bull to bring in a bitter rival, and as for Ferrari, Hamilton has said that he loves and respects the team, but he would never drive for them. In an interview, he said, "Mercedes is my family. I will always be a Mercedes driver, just like Sterling Moss. But families can break up. Could Hamilton run away from home one day?" Changing goals. Hamilton may be staying in Formula One, but his goals have changed over the years. The rookie Hamilton at McLaren 15 years ago would do anything to win a championship, but now he has revealed that he is competing for something bigger. On an episode of Fan Question Friday, Hamilton answered a question about what the biggest challenge is for the team this year. His response was surprising. He said that he would be competing to change things and make racing more inclusive. But he doesn't just talk about it, Hamilton also leads by example. He set up the Hamilton Commission in 2021 alongside the Royal Academy of Engineering to try and make motorsport more representative for minority groups. Hamilton has faced a lot of challenges in Formula One because of his race. The latest has been three-time world champion Nelson Piquet referring to him with the N-word in an interview. A clip from the interview began circulating lately and led to Piquet being banned indefinitely from the F1 paddock. The remarks were widely condemned in the sport, but Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko has suggested that Mercedes dug up the footage deliberately. According to Marko, they wanted to move the focus away from last year's controversial collision with Verstappen, which left the Red Bull driver in hospital. If that was really the plan, then it worked. The headlines were dominated by Nelson Piquet for weeks, but anything Helmut Marko says should be taken with a pinch of salt, sometimes a handful. Future drive. Every driver on the grid was an F1 fan at one point, and after they retire, they go back to being spectators just like the rest of us. Lewis Hamilton has promised that when he does call it quits, he won't be as negative as other former drivers have been. Earlier in the year, he said that drivers who had not been relevant for decades were constantly saying negative things about him. He seemed to be referring to Nelson Piquet's comments about Verstappen being the better driver and Jackie Stewart, who said that Hamilton's retirement is long overdue. Lewis has said that he doesn't want to be making these kinds of comments when he retires because he knows just how hard it is to deal with the pressure. All of the drivers have bad days, and to him, it's not fair to make it worse. At the same time, Hamilton assured fans that he would always be tapped into the sport and watch each race. He's excited about the new generation and has praised drivers like Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc for what they are bringing to the sport. Leading the pack of those young drivers is Max Verstappen, who said that he's actually happy to see Lewis Hamilton back near the front of the grid. He said that the more points Mercedes can scoop up, the less of a threat Ferrari will be. That's the way, Max. Divide and conquer. Do you think that Hamilton should retire from the sport soon? And should he consider changing teams? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.